While the mom-and-pop video stores are now, in retrospect, worshipped and venerated, especially relative to the big chains, it's important to remember that the early stores were part of a growth industry, a boom industry, and those early owners weren't always in it for the right reasons.
It just seemed like a really easy business to set up. I don't think people necessarily had to have a passion for movies.
When you call these places like mom and pop, I mean, it's really, you're being kind. You know, instead of mom, thief and hustler would be better.
The early days of the video industry attracted a whole range of folks.
This big guy, silver hair, he's tan, he's got this kind of card shark, used car salesman meets Jewish Yakuza kind of vibe.
People who saw opportunity to make some quick bucks.
You just go buy these boxes and you put them up on the wall.
Laughing all the way to the bank and doing a bunch of cocaine, and he couldn't believe it could get into a business like this.
Because there was very little controls, very few rules about how you operated the business.
It was a business that attracted
people who took advantage of a very loose situation.
People looking for angles, looking for action. All right, growing up in, I grew up in Chicago. It's 1978, it's 1979, and this new store opens up next to this Chinese restaurant that we go all the time. And it's a store selling videos, you know, beta VHS of movies. To me, it was like, you know, a miracle. And this place was strange. There weren't a lot of posters, there wasn't a lot of signage, there wasn't a lot of branding. It was very empty, except these glass cases and the movie boxes, just the packaging. And I remember you couldn't even hold them, you could just look at them. My dad saw how incredibly excited I was that he actually paid like $80. So that's how much these tapes were expensive. But the guy who ran this store, he kind of made a little side deal with my mom one time, you know, about, hey, how would you, I can actually, instead of $80, how about $40 if, you know, I'll just make a copy, right? So this is total piracy. And I remember one time in the back, you know, he had took in there one time, oh, this is how I do it. I've got one machine here, and then here's another machine, and, you know, bonding with my mom. Oh, look, yeah, look what I'm doing here. Isn't this exciting? And then bought tapes from him for several months, and then he was gone. You know, a sweep was made because they were probably, you know, usually doing all their bootlegging on, you know, at the location, so that was pretty bustable. You know, he got completely busted. The store disappeared. You know, I don't know like how much time he did.
It even opened up opportunities for people to either steal or kind of undermine a business for their own benefit. This all happened with Captain Video, my kind of first participation in the video rental business in mid-1982. I really loved watching movies, and I'm incredibly cheap, and I didn't want to pay for them. So slowly but surely, as I started forking out $5 for renting movies, I tried to figure out how to get them for free. And the best way to do that was to become a partner in a business. And the store that I would go to up in San Anselmo, California, was called Captain Video. It was a small place, about 1,000 square feet. It was packed every day. Customers were coming in and paying $100 membership fees and then $5 to rent a movie for one night. And when they told me they wanted to expand and open more stores, that was my trigger to figure out, well, let's see, if I invest some money, part of the deal is I'll get both my money back, get a partnership, and get free movies. I had 3 other partners, and they had all left their jobs in order to run the store. Everybody worked in the store. I invested $20,000 to begin with. One of the ways that my partners were driving the business, what was a great business, into the ground was by taking money out. In the old days, stores and retailers didn't have computers to track their transactions. It was very easy to just take a handful of receipts and throw them in the trash can and take a handful of cash out. My deal was more as a silent partner to begin with, but as time went on and I saw different forms of kind of internal theft, I got more and more involved in day-to-day business. They didn't like the idea that I would come and work behind the counter because it didn't give them all the opportunities that they wanted. Unfortunately, it was too late, and the business ended up going into bankruptcy. Because I was so naive at the time, I thought when a business closes, that's the end of it. I went in there, there was 4 of us partners. At the end, when we were closing the store, I went in and took exactly 1/4 of the movies, and there was 4 cash registers. I took one of the cash registers. There was a bunch of shelving. I took 1/4 of that. And I thought, okay, that's the end of that. But a few years later, I found when I went to go buy my first home that my credit was horrible. And upon investigation, I realized that not only had I unknowingly also gone bankrupt, but each and every partner was fully responsible for federal tax for employees, as well as state tax, as well as sales tax. And in order to buy my home and clear up my credit, I ended up having to pay all those debts for the partnership.
Remember the video store with no posters or signage? Well, maybe that's one thing we can't blame on the early profiteering, sleazy video store owner. Let's fast forward for a parallel.
I feel that right now we're in the same point we were in 77, 78. It's hard to get point of purchase materials, posters, cards to put on the shelf that says new release. You make your own. Everything you make your own now. There's no support any longer. The video business has matured to the point where the studios aren't even sending posters any longer.
But the lack of studio support of their stores is perhaps the only parallel between these 2 very different breeds of store owner.
But these guys that have the local video stores, regardless of the name on the top, they're doing their best. They're doing it because they love movies. They're not doing it to be rich, to drive a Ferrari that weekend. They're doing it because they want films and they want to see movies and they want you to be happy on Friday night. That is not what drives any of the other businesses out there.